Hey everybody, welcome to the Binary Sunset episode 7. It's a big deal. That's 7. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Lucky number 7. I'm gonna cut that out. Anyway, so
This is our
Zach.
This is our Force Awakens episode. Anyway,
This is our episode 7.
Yes, 'tis the season.
Tis the season, Zach.
I'm back home, and you are
back home.
Calendar.
We're both in the same city right now, which is unprecedented for this podcast. Glad to have you back in Chicago.
Great to be back.
Yesterday, I got a Christmas gift from my girlfriend's parents. It's an advent calendar. I've never actually used an advent calendar before, but it's a sock advent calendar. So right now, I've done the first 2 days, which was that and that. But maybe I should just.
So it's all socks.
It's all socks, all different socks. So
like, have you worn any of these socks? Or like,
yeah, I've worn for the first 2 days. So should I open to day 3?
Yeah,
yeah. I'll just do it.
I hope it's a Jar Jar Binks socks. Please, Jar Jar Binks.
A little hard to open sometimes.
Please, Jar Jar Binks or a Porg sock.
I don't.
Ryan would like that.
Oh, that's true. Where is Ryan today?
What? Ryan's with me.
Oh, he's right there. Oh, I can't.
It's okay.
Is he on you?
It's okay, Ryan. You're important to me.
Aww. I think this is day 3.
Day 3.
So we got some socks with Darth Vader and stormtroopers. The stormtroopers are wearing Santa hats.
Very nice.
So that's very cute.
Very nice.
I'm always low on socks. That's it's always a plus. So yeah, there we go. That's
that
the intro
is
for you.
As somebody who has had advent calendars before, that is a very high quality advent calendar. Let me
It's
just
not
say
bad.
that.
I like it a lot.
It's amazing. I had advent calendars. It was like little pieces of chocolate that were like years and years old. I was like, oh, this is gross. I don't even want to taste it.
I've always wanted one of those Lego ones. Those always seem fun.
They did.
Yeah.
So let's get
Cool.
into it.
All right. Yeah.
So you want to tell me, just sum us up, AV. Get us all on the same page. What happened during this episode?
Let's do a little recap. So, all right. Mandalorian chapter 15. I've gotten a hold on the chapter numbers finally. Chapter 15. We get Bill Burr back. I guess he's serving his time on some like mining planet or whatever. Cara Dune comes and picks him up. Mayfield's his name. And he's like, "What's this about?" She's like, "Hey, we you want to change the scenery or something like that?" And she's like, "Sure, I guess." His motivation is obviously to like be freed from imprisonment, but she gives him the indication.
It's just whatever he's doing, he can be doing something better.
Right, he could be doing something else more fun. Yeah. But yeah, she gives him the indication that this is literally he's not going anywhere. Like he's still a prisoner.
Yes.
And he's like, "Oh, like, well, I thought you were somebody else." And then out walks Mando, it's so funny. He's like, you could just tell in his face, he's like so afraid of him.
Yeah, no, that was a good one.
And then they fly to where do they fly to?
I forgot
the
were they looking
name.
Now I'm gonna look stupid. Was it coaxium? What was it that they're trying to get? Randonium, not coaxium. But I just remembered it because long story short, they devised this plan to get inside this are we calling them their empire, right?
Yeah, they're Imperial. Yeah. So it's like an Imperial refinery.
Yes, Imperial refinery. Yes.
That Mayfield told them about because they didn't know where to go.
And Mayfield used to be an Imperial.
He used to be an Imperial, and he knows about this secret refinery. So they go there. They have a plan. Boba Fett's waiting in his ship. Cara Dune and Fennec Shand, I believe her name is. They're waiting with their sniper rifles, and Mayfield and Mando have to take this tanker of Rhydonium, which is like a really volatile substance, down this like tumultuous dirt road toward the refinery. So
and that's why it reminded me of coaxium, because in Solo,
right, it's similar.
They have the levels which they have to do, but basically, long story short, they get into some shenanigans with some pirates.
Yep, on their way there. Every other tanker in front of them was succumbed to the pirates explosives, but they made it out. Before we get into that, Mando had to take off his helmet and put on Imperial armor, and Mayfield brings up the fact what are the rules to being Mandalorian now? Like either you can't take the Mandalorian helmet off, or you can't just show your face at all. And then and it's just kind of a funny. I really like them too, kind of like their banter. Yeah. And so they make it to the facility. They're the only people, and they're greeted by like hundreds of stormtroopers that are all saluting them and like patting them on the back.
They're like, "Whoa, we did it!"
Yeah, it's like really funny because it's like, well, we'll get into like the themes of the episode, but just to finish it off, they have to get to this facility because there's a computer system in the officers' mess hall where they can extract the whereabouts of Moff Gideon's ship, where Baby Yoda is being held. It turns out that one of Mayfeld's old commanding officers is one of the officers in the mess hall, and so he's like, I can't go in there, but the computer needs to scan your face. So in desperation,
and this was one of my favorite parts, but we'll talk about it.
It was great.
Yeah,
in desperation, because I mean that's the thing. Like, does Mando care more about his rules as a Mandalorian, or does he care more about Grogu?
Yep, Baby Yoda.
So in desperation and in his love for the kid, he takes off his helmet and goes and gets the little memory chip, gets the information, but he's stopped by the first, I'm pretty sure it's the first Southern accent Imperial.
It was great.
But yeah, so and then that's the same Imperial general that was Mayfield's or Mayfeld, I forget, old CO.
Yes.
And so he asked them to sit down. He recognizes they were the only tank that made it through. He's like, have a drink with me. It's kind of like a tense, like almost Inglourious Bastards bar scene moment.
Yeah.
And
it ends the same way, kind of too.
It ends pretty similarly. Mayfeld just gets really incensed by
fascism.
By essentially fascism and his old CO's basically like blatant disregard for his subordinate's life. And he shoots him. Cold blood.
Awesome.
All the other stormtroopers have their little trays, and they're just like, what?
This is so good.
And then there's a shootout. Yep. What I think they should have done though, which would have been really smart, is they should have just been like, oh, we killed the guy who started shooting. Like, it's all clear. But instead, they just start shooting everybody that walks in.
How are you?
Yeah.
And then we do a Naboo almost scene when they go on the ledge,
crawling across the.
They get out of the mess hall. They break a window. Then they claw into the wet ledge, and then they climb up a ladder. And Cara Dune and the other person are shooting at them,
keeping them covered.
Or shooting at the stormtroopers who are trying to take them down. They rack up a body count.
Oh yeah. Also, they had a lot of headshots too. They got one in the neck, which was that was.
Then Boba Fett saves them.
Boba Fett saves the day. They get picked up by Slave One, and of course, and I saw it coming. He releases a seismic charge.
Wow!
Boom.
That made my day.
That was they had to do that. Yeah. That was awesome. And then it kind of just it ends with they basically grant Mayfeld his freedom. They're like, it's a shame that he died on the Imperial refinery, and
that was a good one.
So he's like, "Am I cool? Am I cool?" I can't believe they didn't like give him a ride though. Like that's the least they could have done. But
that's fine.
He's just on the jungle. He'll hang out with the pirates, I guess.
Definitely.
And then we get a.
The ending.
The ending.
The ending where basically Mando looks so threatening to Moff Gideon, which is kind of you can see Moff Gideon is just like, oh. Damn.
But I don't know if you noticed, but that's the same exact speech that Moff Gideon gave to him when he was when they were in the bar.
I did not know that.
Almost verbatim, except he calls Baby Yoda he, and Moff Gideon called it in the previous season. Yeah, so that was really cool. I didn't realize that at first. I saw that on Instagram later, but that was just right off the bat. I loved this episode. It was like one of the first episodes of The Mandalorian that actually, to me at least. And I don't know why, but like it just felt like a normal episode of television. It didn't feel like a video game. It didn't feel like too like this, then this, then this. It actually there were stakes. There was a lot of emotion. There was a lot of character, just like back and forth.
It was also, I believe, near the same running time as the last episode. Like it was under 40 minutes, if I'm not mistaken.
More or less, yeah. It was about that. I think it was like about 40 minutes. Yeah.
But like Robert Rodriguez's student film versus this actual episode of Mandalorian.
I don't know.
We already discussed our feelings on that. We did. So yeah, I mean, I enjoyed this episode a lot. I will say I thought it very similar to episode 4 of this season. When
it was,
which was also Cara Dune, Carl Weathers, Bluefish guy, and Mando go to the Imperial base to just blow it up. Yep. I still like that episode more than this one. But honestly, like as you talked about the episode more and more, I kind of just kept on writing down notes like of stuff I liked, and now like I only had 2 things at the beginning of this episode when this episode started. Now I have like 5.
Yeah, once you kind of like go through it, you're like, then this and then this. Yeah.
So like I just want to name 5 things I just enjoyed in this episode.
Sure, go for it.
Number 1 was the pirates.
Great.
They kind of reminded me of I'm gonna butcher this. You know Firefly?
Yeah.
The show Firefly.
I love that show.
It reminded me of the aliens or the humans that weren't really human anymore. Called beavers. Oh, did you ever see Serenity?
I saw Serenity. Yeah.
Yeah, it reminded me just like the ships they were riding in the
I watched it such a long time ago. Yeah.
Correct me.
I know what you're talking about.
Internet, go ahead and butcher me because
they look like honestly to me they look like a Star Trek.
Yeah. But that whole kind of like all those different rides, which I'm assuming Serenity was inspired by Star Wars anyway, so it's kind of back to back. But it's cool.
I'm sure it was inspired by all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's that just reminded me of Serenity and Firefly.
Sure.
The other one I really enjoyed. Just Bill Barr. Not Bill Barr, not the Trump guy, Bill Burr,
not the Attorney General,
not the Attorney General, but the Bostonian comedian. Bill Burr was fantastic. I was a little bit like, I don't know about it at first, and then like it just he just kind of stole the show with him talking all the time, and he's
great.
He was stupid, but at the same time, like he was kind of lovable at the same time. And I mean, my 2 favorite moments of him was when he was just like, all right, this is it. Like, I'm going to put the whole like mission in jeopardy just to shoot this guy who's just disregarding human life and like all the people that I died with on that day, fighting for the the Empire. And then at the end, when he just blows the whole place up.
And then Cara Dune sees that and she's like, oh. And then they give him his freedom.
And then, the last thing was, there's 2 more. One was Boba Fett's just explosion. That was just a nice shot of nostalgia into my eyes, into my brain, and
into my ears.
Into my ears. And then that last thing was Mando's speech at the end. Loved it. So
that was great. Yep. Yeah. He looked so cool too. He looked so menacing.
He did.
Especially because he's just at this point. He's actually a threat to Moff Gideon at this point, who's always been this like big like overarching like looming threat. Like now Mando is a threat to him because he's literally somebody that has nothing to lose and everything to gain because he loves Baby Yoda. Like that's all he cares about at this point.
Baby Yoda.
That's his world. So yeah, I think Moff Gideon's sweating a little bit
for an episode that didn't have Baby Yoda in it. Mm-hmm. It was still a very good episode.
It was the first episode without Baby Yoda. It's insane. But
what about you? What were some things you enjoyed?
Well, I obviously Seismic Charge. Let's get that out of the way. Love that.
We'll work backwards.
I really liked the fact that, and I guess I have to kind of get into themes here because that's what I loved most about this episode because you have like the framework of the plot, which was a fun adventure plot.
So who was this episode directed by again?
I think it was Rick Famuyiwa. He did the egg episode from season 1.
Yes.
I think.
Yes.
Which was also a great episode, one of my favorites.
Yes, the Jawas.
You can definitely tell. There's the backdrop of the plot that's like a super exciting, like kind of like thrill. Like, are they gonna make it? There's an explosive. There's a time frame. Whatever. So that was a lot of fun. But that aside, the interesting thing, the reason why I like this episode so much is that there was this, both Mayfeld and Mando both got their own arcs in this episode, because we kind of see them do things that I don't think they would have normally done in any other circumstance where it wasn't so dire.
They did.
And because and it's almost preluded by Mayfeld's comments in the tank. Like, people do strange things in desperation. They do things that they wouldn't normally do, that they wouldn't say, like, a part of, and that is a part of their code.
And that comes into play.
It definitely comes into play. You get, at the beginning of the episode, for most of the episode, Mayfeld kind of like that, live free, don't join, Benicio del Toro, Last Jedi kind of character. He's like, nothing, none of it's good, none of it's bad. It's all just relative, because he's an ex-Imperial. But the interesting thing is that when it, and it's almost like that for most of the episode, because it's almost like the audience starts questioning, like, is that maybe there isn't, maybe it is more, it is a little more gray. It's, we get to the, part where they're greeted by a group of stormtroopers, cheers and salutes, and they're all like, you made it. Like, they're just patting them on the back, and you're like, oh, they're people. Like, it humanizes them. But then you get to the part with the general, and then you start seeing, like, oh, okay, there might, the rebels might not be good, but the Empire is definitely bad. There's it's basically, it brings up the question of morality between the two sides, and then it's like, no, the Empire is evil. There's no question about it.
Well, to your point, and to your point that it's very thematic, that, like, literally before, like, basically they start blowing up the place because they're just so tired of the Empire, just so sick of its shit. I mean, Mando has to take off his helmet, and he has to show his face for the computer,
that's his
so
arc.
they can get and I mean that, like, I feel like there's something to be said, because like you said, at the end of this, when they're all greeted by stormtroopers, all of them are in masks and they all have their helmets on, and then basically you have to have Mando take off his helmet, and then a few minutes later, then it's like, okay, we can't hide who we are anymore. Like, we've already like, our helmets are off, and this is who we actually are. So I agree with that.
So and you get Mando's arc, taking off the helmet in his moment of desperation and kind of like shedding his code of honor. And in Mayfeld's moment of desperation, it's just funny. It's like he almost puts on this act for most of the time, and then when it comes down to it, he gets so angered by his old CO's just lack of care for his fellow, for his fellow soldiers, that it's just like he just loses it, and that's his moment of desperation, and he just wanted to take something back, and that was like the most human we've seen Mayfeld over the 2 episodes that he's been in, and then he's let go, and they're they get the coordinates. They're on to next episode, I assume. We'll hopefully find Moff Gideon.
I think, because going back, the more and more we talk about Mayfield, the more and more I think about it, the more and more I feel like it's so good. Is that I think, I forgot his officer. He said something about things are going to go back to the way they used to be, because there will be so much chaos.
Yeah.
And I feel like that was what struck a chord with him, because going back to, like, him being an Imperial fight, I mean, or at least fighting for the Empire, and all these people dying, that we're just caught up in the middle of it.
Well, it's funny that, I mean, I don't know how, it's just funny, like, chaos is so subjective. Like, to an Imperial officer, the New Republic is a chaotic regime, but the Empire was incredibly chaotic. I mean, they literally, the definition of an empire is that they go and conquer different lands and just wreak havoc across the, they wrought havoc across the galaxy. They killed billions. They, but somehow that's order. That's not chaos. And it's just so funny. But
chaos reigns.
Another thing that they kind of brought up in the beginning of this episode is the New Republic has prison camps. and they have weapons to torture their prisoners, and it's like that's like I never thought that, because we saw like an Imperial slave camp obviously in Rogue One, but it just begs the question, like what does this government look like right now? Because we don't really have a look into the New Republic, and we might, and as a segue, we might get a peek into that in the new TV show.
I
forgot. Rangers of the New Republic is what it's called.
Yes.
So yeah, let's just start talking.
It's gonna be a bunch of old guys with dad bods.
Laying down the law.
like it has been in the Mandalorian.
Hey,
they did say it was gonna coincide with the Mandalorian, I believe.
I'm all for that. Yeah.
So it's gonna be Dave Filoni and his friend.
I love the two of them. The two of them they're the best. I love them.
Dad bods of Star Wars. Okay, yeah, let's go in. So Avi, why don't you just go through in the list of announcements?
So let me pull up the list. I have it on my computer here.
Yeah. And we'll just go through each and say what we're interested in.
So obviously, this needs no introduction, this segment of the show. We had some huge news come out this week.
Spoilers.
Spoiler. Well, each of these things have brief they have brief synopses.
I'm joking.
I wouldn't call them.
I am joking. It's not a spoiler. I'm just making fun of the whole spoiler culture.
I know you're getting on my blood about that, but that's I just want to be safe.
Spoilers in case you didn't watch the Disney Plus announcements.
Right, spoilers. Yeah. Disney announced at their quarterly earnings, whatever it's called, meeting, that they're releasing like a bunch of new shows and movies, spin-offs and all that kind of stuff for Star Wars, coming out within the next few years. So huge news. Obviously, we knew. Okay, so number one on the list is Obi-Wan Kenobi. We know that was coming anyway. What we didn't know was that Hayden Christensen was coming back to play Darth Vader. We suspected that Darth Vader would be in it, but we didn't really know. We thought like, oh, maybe it's Darth Maul. No, Darth Vader is going to be in this, and I'm a little bittersweet about this news because on the one hand, I am excited, for the most part, because I just can't wait to see Obi-Wan grapple with his immense failure of losing Anakin to the dark side, and just losing his entire way of life.
The Jedi.
And the Well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Like, just it's all just gone. I cannot wait to see that. But it's a little bittersweet because I would have liked that to not have been announced until like the episode came out where he appears in it.
Yeah, it would have been a nice cool.
Yeah, it would have been a nice surprise. But whatever. The news is out there. I mean, I totally understand why they did do that, because I think they wanted to just be like, hey, look what Disney's doing. We got Ahsoka live action. We're they're catering to all the prequel fans out there.
Speaking of that, there's a meme we both shared, which I feel like encapsulates it perfectly.
Which one was it?
It's of like Palpatine, and then for some reason Tom Cruise with a Rebel helmet on, and he's laughing, and then like it says on the top, me. I'm thinking about discontinuing my subscription to Disney Plus, and it says Disney Plus, and then it shows all the shows.
They're just laughing.
Yep.
Yeah. There's at this point. I mean, luckily, when it first came out, I got like there was like a week thing where it's like a discount where you get like 3 years. You just pay a flat rate up front. You get like 3 years covered. So hopefully they'll come out within that time.
So what else are we? So we got Kenobi.
So we got
Ahsoka.
We have Ahsoka, the Ahsoka spinoff. So So this is, I'm reading an article from USA Today. It says, following her live action debut in The Mandalorian, Ahsoka will finally get her own standalone limited series helmed by the Clone Wars and Rebels creator Dave Filoni and Mandalorian's showrunner Jon Favreau. Little is known about the series so far, but we know it takes place during the same timeline as Mandalorian. Okay, so she is essentially that Ahsoka as we've seen her. So we can assume we'll follow Ahsoka on her hunt for Grand Admiral Thrawn. Rosario Dawson will star as the titular character. So this is going to be about her trying to find, obviously Thrawn, but also just find Ezra. And I think, and I know you haven't.
Is it bad that I'm more excited for the bad guy Thrawn than I am Ezra or Ahsoka?
I don't think it is. I mean, I think
I'm just so excited.
I think he's just more. I think he's more well known throughout the fan base, whether you've read
Legends or canon.
Mm-hmm. I think as someone who watched Rebels while it came out, it was such an interesting cliffhanger. It ends with them going off and trying to find them. So I'm wondering if that scene is actually before Mandalorian or after Mandalorian. Because it would be interesting. It would be super cool to see that specific scene like in live action, for the show. But so they're gonna go find their friend, and whether they find him as they knew him, or if he's just like maybe he's turned to the dark side, or maybe he's just like not like almost like a Darth Maul kind of thing, where he's just like he can't even recognize who he is.
Luke Skywalker.
What do you mean?
Like Luke Skywalker in Last Jedi.
More or less, yeah.
They can't recognize who they are. That's what's saying.
So all in all, we don't really know. Nobody knows a lot. Nobody knows anything about the show. But I'm still excited. I think Rosario Dawson did a great job playing Ahsoka, and I'm excited to see her continue that.
And then we
have Rangers of the New Republic, at least on this list.
Yes, dad bods. Yep.
So mean.
Why am I mean?
You're so mean.
Why am I? That's not mean.
They're great. I love them.
I know. Me too.
Okay. Rangers of the New Republic. Okay, so the USA Today description says, similar to Ahsoka, Filoni and Favreau will develop a second show set during the same timeline as The Mandalorian, titled Rangers of the New Republic. The company hinted at all 3 series by the same team will be interconnected, meaning that we can expect a crossover event to come in the next few years. So those 3 shows, Mandalorian, Rangers, and Ahsoka, all happening at the same time. We're going to get some little crossover there. Cool.
Yes.
Next on the list is Star Wars Andor, which
that took me a while because I thought I was like, is it Endor? Am I reading like?
I thought thought it was too. I was like, did I spell Endor wrong?
Is it just gonna be like
Cassian? Yeah,
Andor. Yeah.
So I have my thoughts on this. Do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, actually, that doesn't sound like a good lead.
No.
Like, yeah, okay, let's hear it because I actually am excited for it. Yeah. Let's go.
Okay, I'm not excited for this. I will obviously watch it and I will probably enjoy it. Yeah. But we know the thing is like I love Cassian Andor as a character. He was great. I thought he was fun. I thought he added a lot to the difference in types of rebels that you can get. You can get the ones that are super good. You can get the ones that are kind of like
in this fight. Since I was
in this fight, yeah, that kind of thing. Where the Rogue One starts off with him just killing his friend.
Yeah.
But we know what happens to him. We know he dies. Prequels are hard, especially an entire series, a prequel series of one movie. I thought his story was told, and I'm interested in kind of seeing, in terms of aspects of the show. I'm interested in seeing like what the rebellion looks like at this point, like before Rogue One. That's exciting, but I just don't know if That's it. I'm gonna enjoy it. Like that's not a question. I just don't know if I'm excited for it as much as I am for some of the other stuff.
See, I'm actually excited for it. Cassian was probably my favorite character in all of Rogue One, because he actually had character development.
Yeah.
Fun fact: I'm not the biggest fan of Rogue One. I mean, he's just a fantastic character. I feel like, and I'm excited to see more of what I guess is planned for him. I guess all I really want is more character development and to flesh out what the rebellion really looked like at that day and age.
And I totally agree with that. Yeah.
And I want to see him do some really nasty, mean things. Like, I mean, technically, his saving grace was when in Rogue One when he was about to kill Rose's dad, and then he didn't.
Jin's dad.
Yeah, Jin's dad. Jin's that was her name. Jin's dad, yeah. And then Madge Mikkelsen, and then he did not. So I kind of want to see how that plays out.
I am excited for. I don't know if you said this. But just him and K2SO forming their relationship.
That is also, yes, I would say I am excited about that. So what else? So we have
okay. Yep. So that's
Andor, Cassian.
Next on this list, what's up?
Yeah, Bad Batch.
Bad Batch. That's yep.
They call themselves the Bad Batch.
So Star Wars: The Bad Batch, essentially the Trojan horse of the Bad Batch with Clone Wars stuck inside. That's Dave Filoni's bringing into Troy. The Bad Batch made their debut in the Clone Wars, returning for a fantastic story arc in the series' final season. Continuing on their success, the team of rogue clone troopers will return in a new animated series that takes place following the events of Revenge of the Sith. So, did you watch any of season 7?
I did not finish it, and I think this is the thing that I needed to get me motivated to finish the Clone Wars. So I think I'll do that. But
nice.
That being said, the trailer is awesome. It has so much energy in it.
Yeah.
And
it was cool.
Yeah.
I knew this was coming. Also, I'm sorry, viewers and or listeners, if it's loud on my end, I apologize. I live with like 4 other people, so I can't control everybody. But anyway, I just want to get that out of the way.
Yeah, Tarkin. I'm interested to see.
Oh yeah, Tarkin. That was cool. He was in the Clone Wars series. For one of those arcs. But yeah, I was wondering like what the backdrop of this show was going to be when they first announced it like a few months ago. The way they presented it is really, really cool. Yeah. So it's like, the Empire the Republic has just fallen. All the clone troopers have just turned against the Jedi. The Empire is being raised up from the ashes, or not ashes, I guess. The Empire is being born.
Anakin's ashes.
Yeah, literally. Q, I hate you. That was actually, so it's interesting. When Clone Wars was first canceled, they released some of the unfinished episodes that were supposed to be for the next season. And Bad Batch was one of them. So I kind of already saw this arc in a way. There was a lot that was different about it. Obviously the animation was finished and everything. And yeah, I enjoyed it. It was cool. It was obviously a setup for a new series. I totally recommend watching it, by the way, before you see this. But yeah, not much to say about this. I'm just excited. This is basically, for me, this is just season 8 of Clone Wars, and I'm just excited about that.
Sure.
So.
And then we have...
Yeah, so next is Visions on my list.
Visions, yeah.
Star Wars. So I did not read anything. Oh.
It's basically it's basically a bunch of, from what I can understand, a lot of animation short stories about Star Wars.
I was through the lens of the world's best Japanese anime creators. So okay.
So like 2 things came to mind when I read that. One, we're gonna break into another geek fandom. You've seen The Matrix, I'm assuming, right?
Of course, yeah.
Do you know the Animatrix?
No, I never saw that.
It kind of sounds like this, where basically the Animatrix is a bunch of short animated films in a bunch of different styles about the Matrix universe that explains it. So that's what I thought about. I'm not a big fan of the Animatrix, I must say. I'm not a big fan of the Matrix in general, besides the first Matrix, just so we're clear. But also the Star Wars kids short, Star Wars Galaxy of Adventures. Yeah. Which and this is gonna sound ridiculous, but at the same time, Star Wars is technically a kids franchise. So you should, if you haven't heard about Star Wars Galaxy of Adventures, go on YouTube, type that in, Star Wars Galaxy of Adventures, and there are so many short stories that kind of just explain all the different Star Wars live action stories. And it's fantastic. And a bunch of people on YouTube have actually recut them so that they kind of look like an anime. So that's what this kind of reminds me of.
I'm really excited about this. So I love animation. I love all that kind of stuff. And I feel like I always felt like Star Wars translated to anime so seamlessly. It just has the vibe necessary for it. But yeah, so not much to say about this, but definitely excited.
The one thing I don't have much is was it Acolyte?
Acolyte. So that's jumping ahead a little bit, but okay. So Star Wars: The Acolyte. The USA Today description says the High Republic era, an era that takes place hundreds of years before the Phantom Menace, has not been explored in film or television in the Star Wars universe. It will make its much anticipated live action debut in a new series led by Leslie Headland, creator of the hit Netflix series Russian Doll,
which is a fantastic series.
Great series. Yeah, wonderfully done. I didn't know what I knew she was doing something for Star Wars, but I didn't know she was doing this. The Acolyte will be a mystery thriller that takes place near the end of the High Republic. You said you're not totally excited for this. You want to get into that?
Yeah, I mean, it's very nitpicky of me. It's technically not fair to Disney Star Wars, but
well, you can make your own episode about that.
I know I could.
Check out Star Wars Nitpicks.
I must say, when it usually comes to the people who cry legends, I don't care. However, I loved the Old Republic, the video games, the lore, the comics. I really enjoyed it, and this kind of seems like it's in the same vein. I don't know if it's going to technically take over the Old Republic, but at the same time, the Old Republic really is not that canon anymore. So I'm just kind of worried that they're gonna replace the Old Republic with a more lame story, but that's unfair of me to say. So
well, this technically isn't the old. This is after.
I know it's the High Republic. I know. But
I don't think they're Are they gonna do that?
Yeah, it's just gonna be the Jedi Council. They're all just like smoking dope in the circle.
They were a lot looser back in the day.
Yeah. The High Republic.
Yeah. I'm actually really excited for this. Mostly because it's a period of time that we literally have no knowledge about.
I should read the books because they're coming out with books of it.
So they are coming out with books. Well, I'll probably do a bunch of different like stuff, just reviewing those stuff that we could probably do together in tandem or
Star
even
Wars
separately.
Book Club.
That's what we'll call it. That's what it is.
Yes.
Just to get ready for the Acolyte. But I'm actually pretty excited. A mystery thriller, love those. Can't wait. Star Wars, love that. Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
All right. Next is Lando,
which we don't know anything about. We don't know who's gonna play him. If he's gonna be old, if he's gonna be young.
It doesn't say anything about what. It doesn't say anything about like what.
Yeah.
When it takes place, or what it's about. So we'll move on. It is directed by Justin Simien, who directed Dear White People and Bad Hair.
Yes, I know that. So we have
next one is A Droid Story.
I forgot about that one too. So much stuff.
Well, the Droid Story is definitely a forgettable one.
It's just a kid, right? It's a kid's. I mean, again, I misspoke.
It's just droids. I think it's just droids in 3D.
Droids in 3D. Okay.
Yeah, probably.
Okay. And then
lastly we have a movie.
Yes. I'm so excited.
Directed by Patty Jenkins, who did Wonder Woman. Rogue Squadron, which I'm really excited about.
Yes. Did you see the it wasn't a trailer, but it was like a promo where like she was skating.
She was talking about her
her
father who
it was very
was a fighter pilot. Yeah.
It was very heartwarming, and then it was like, wow, like she's a geek. I love it. Like she has this like amazing, touching story about how she was inspired by her father, and unfortunately he passed away.
And she was like looking for the right fighter pilot movie script, and she found one in Star Wars. I guess
she found one. Yeah, I mean it's just
which is very promising.
It's just so heartwarming though, because like you can tell she grew up a Star Wars fan.
Yeah.
and now she's gonna get to create her own Star Wars film, but also has like a purpose for why she's doing it. You know.
But yeah, so there's also the Taika Waititi project. We'll get to that later. So Rogue Squadron, I mean that's Galactic Civil War. That's Luke's squad that he formed with Wedge, right? So are we gonna get Luke in that? And
you really want Luke, that? Don't you? You just really want Luke.
I don't know how you could do Rogue Squadron without Luke. Right? I don't know.
Who knows?
I'm sure they'll find a way. But
yeah.
Anyway, then they have the Taika Waititi thing. That
okay. We gotta. How are we gonna do? I'll be honest. If Luke's gonna be in it, we need Porkins as well. That's all I'm gonna say. We need Jet Porkins in it as well.
Fair enough. Back from the dead. He's got like half a cybernetic face.
Well, so technically in Legends, he had I don't even know how that worked though, because he wasn't a Jedi. He was a Force user, but he came back. He was a Force ghost for some reason. Anyway, good, keep going.
So I think we basically covered everything. I completely forgot there was something I wanted to talk about in terms of the Mandalorian, in terms of predictions.
Yes.
Which is something that after this past episode, I thought a lot about, and I may have changed my mind. Okay. And it's something that I don't necessarily want to happen or think should happen, but probably will. You know how I said Luke Skywalker was gonna show up at the end of season 2?
Yes.
The more I think about it, the more I think it's gonna be Mace Windu. I don't necessarily want, because I'm like you said in the last episode, like I'm a little sick of like bringing characters back to life.
Can you remind me real quick why you think it's gonna be?
If Luke shows up, that's a whole can of worms. That just opens this up to just literally everything else in Star Wars, right? It's now the Skywalker story saga. It's just part of that now. I'm just kind of like in my head going along into what like what they've been doing with Mandalorian these 2 seasons, which is basically like introducing characters that aren't like big name characters, but big enough they're almost like the diet versions of what we could get. I think like if you get Luke, that is a huge thing, and then it just goes off in any direction. If you do Mace Windu, that's like a peg below, and that's like it's still like fans are gonna lose their shit, but also it doesn't have like as big consequences to the story as if Luke came, and so I think it's like a safer bet in a way. I'm getting the fatigue of people coming back from the dead.
I agree. Who knows, but I don't think it will. I mean, in part, and most of that is me hoping it won't.
Yeah. Because I thought about the other 2 Jedi that could, or I guess 3. Ahsoka, I don't think Ahsoka's coming back.
No.
Cal Kestis from the video games, from Fallen Order, I don't think he's going to be in it. I don't think he's... I just don't see that happening. I think they're just waiting to do a sequel to that game, honestly. And then you also have Ezra, which you're not even going to get... I don't think you're going to get Ezra in this show. You're going to get him in the Ahsoka show, if anything. So that leaves Luke Skywalker, who's the only other living Jedi at that time, or a Jedi that could have survived. Mm-hmm. That would be Mace Windu. Either that or Ki-Adi-Mundi or something.
Nah, dude, it's Kit Fisto all the way.
I love that. Kit
Fisto's coming back.
He just you see him, it just pans, and he's holding his lightsaber. He has that stupid smile from Attack of the Clones.
He fake died. He just fake died when he got stabbed by the Emperor. He was like, "Oh man, my boy."
He went down too easy.
Grogu. My boy Grogu. Grogu.
So yeah, that's basically. So we covered the new Mandalorian episode.
Yes.
We covered
a lot.
The new Star Wars news coming up.
A lot.
We covered a lot today. Honestly, it's funny. I will say this. I'm really glad that we were able to just dedicate an episode to the most recent episode of Mandalorian, because we've had to catch up for the past couple episodes. Yes. I'm glad we were able to devote a whole episode to that, to chapter 15, which we will do next week as well for chapter 16, the season finale. So yeah, thanks for stopping by, people. We'll see you next week. Ryan, do you wanna send us off?